do not get into pulling family members into the trash talk. Like Sean can say what he wants about Garry. I'm not saying he should have been upset. Stop with the wife stuff, man. Stop. Josh, tell him stop.
John, you've hung out with me enough now. Like, I don't take this shit personal. Like, my whole life has been like being involved with fighting for so many years, and I never was a trash talker. I never wanted to get into it. I never cared for it, and I thought it brought more tension and stress to the fight, more pressure that I didn't need. Like, fighting's already stressful enough. You guys are making it worse. Now I get it. It actually brings more eyeballs to you, but it could be.
But they're not. Well, they're not even in the same weight class.
Yeah, I get it.
They're at different levels within the sport right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that's what even makes it worse though, because Ian Garry is the one speaking, and he's not on their level. He's not on Dricus's level. He's not on Sean Strickland's level. Sean Strickland is a champion. You know, call it what it was, but he beat somebody that money thought was kind of unbeatable a little bit there. He was 20 something and 1, I think was what Izzy was when and Sean beat him. I mean, 20 and 2 after he lost to Jan, but it's, you know what I mean? Like in that mix of Sean's performed at the highest level, didn't have a great fight last fight, and neither did Dricus, neither one of them did.
But but sometimes styles make fights, and sometimes, an awkward style. I truly believe that DDP's style is very awkward.
Yeah.
And it's caused everyone problems. And I think it took Sean out of his rhythm that he's comfortable with. And he's got to learn how to take somebody like that and make his style work against it. But I'm going to be honest. He's sitting there talking about, if I ever fight like that, these are two amateurs, tell me to retire or something. Man, son, step up and fight DDP. Step up and fight Sean. Yeah. Talk is cheap.
Well,
step up and fight him.
Well, look, he hasn't fought at the level. He hasn't fought anybody in that top 5. Doesn't matter. He hasn't fought. He's not there yet. And from what I've seen from his fights, he's not like he's close. He's got skill.
He's good.
He's got skill.
I'll give him. He's good.
He's got a good body style for the actual MMA world. I give him credit, man. He's got a lot of natural talent. He's got I'm sure he works hard to get himself there. But the bottom line is you haven't fought for a world title yet. So don't criticize people while they're in the middle of a world title fight, discussing how, if I fight like that, these guys look like amateur boxers. Son, you've never been there. And here's the other thing. You may never get there.
You might not.
And so
I know there's been a lot of guys, that have had really good careers that have never made it to that title fight. Every time that they're one fight away, they lose, and they never get there.
But look,
happens.
But look at the other thing. On the flip side of that, though, is I know a lot of guys that have gotten there 2 or 3 times and still haven't won it.
That's true.
Getting in that cage to win a world title is just something's different about it. And I can't say that there's more pressure, because sometimes people are more relaxed when they get out there. They look, I've reached what my goal was to get here. Now my other goal is to win it, obviously. But like the goal for some was just to get there. Like, hey, to say that I fought for the world title. I've known a lot of fighters that said, like, man, all I gotta do is just fight for the world title, and I know I'm gonna win. But if you thought you were gonna win, you would have said, I'm gonna win that world title. You would have said it differently. So it's for him to come across the way he did. It was just very shallow, but whatever, man. Look, once you start going at each other's wives and girlfriends and family, and if you want to keep it to fighting styles, cool. But Ian went off on somebody about something, and then Sean came back and did something to Ian off of the whole wife thing. I mean, it just starts to becoming contagious. Now you're giving people ammo. I think I saw, who was that I saw? Henry Cejudo. He was talking about with Sean. I think Sean had said some stuff, and he goes, man, stop. Just don't talk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but when you are a fighter and you're going to be out there publicly, keep shit to yourself, man. Like, I'm sorry, but guys got to learn to guys have always had to do this. We've always had to bottle shit up inside, John, until eventually it comes out. And the way we get that shit to come out is by fighting. You know, you can walk down at school, you're having a bad day, and finally just someone popped off at you, and that's how the fight started. It wasn't anything that person did. It was just the way that they looked at you. It was the way that it aggravated you. You didn't like
the attitude.
It was the attitude. It was the way that they talked. You know, they said something in class you just didn't care about, and you were just having a bad day. But we don't go and tell, you know, in that all that emotion is that we're not telling them why I had a bad day. You know, dad yelled at me that morning. You know, mom was mad, whatever it was. You know, sister was stealing my shit or taking my money out of my safe, whatever it was. Right? It could be anything. But we weren't telling people. Men don't normally tell people what their problem is. Now in today's society, guess what? Everyone's got to tell everyone about their home life, their personal business. They want a little bit of that feel back. You know, people coming to them going, "Oh, you're all right. It's okay." And I'm sorry, but the men just have not been accustomed to that over the last 100 years. Am I right or am I wrong, John?
I think you're totally right. I mean, it's one of those, but it's one of the things that's like, you know, Sean Strickland kind of talks about is that, and it's what the media wants out of him. Let's just be honest. You know, they're asking him leading questions, hoping that he comes up with these answers that he comes up with at times that you go, oh God, stop. Okay. But the media, I mean, they're searching for it. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought Dana actually said the right thing. It's like, you go out there and you ask Sean Strickland about what are you expecting him to say? You know what he's going to say. You want him to say it, you know? And it's like, you got to get to the point where I do appreciate that Dana, for the most part, stays out of the trash talk. He says, hey, we let freedom of speech, we let people talk. Okay. But when you have things like this, then you have to put them together because that's the only way to solve it. Put those guys together, put them in a fight. That'll solve it. That'll be where, you know, the trash talk's going to end eventually.
Yeah, it's going to end. I guess me going back to men just not talking about this type of stuff. Keep the shit inside because now you give somebody you know you may one day share the cage with. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever share the cage with Ian Garry. But I'm simply saying, yeah, I don't think so. But the thing is, you're going to be at events together probably. You're going to be around the same type of stuff, whether it's, you know, International Fight Week or whatever they call it now these days, you know, whether it's at an event cornering a friend, whatever it is. You may cross paths, you know, when you're in town, at each other's gyms and maybe come through, you know.
The PI.
Yeah, exactly. The Performance Institute for the UFC. You may cross paths. And what's going to happen then? You know, and so I guess for me, men have always had to keep their shit bottled up inside because we're the first ones to go ahead and trigger that whole, let's just fucking fight. Because that's what.
Well, but see, that's the difference. I'm going to put it out there and say it. That's the difference between men and women. As a man, no matter what, if you go and you say certain things like we're getting from both sides here, you know, as a man that when I see that person, there's a possibility based upon what I said that there's going to be an altercation. Yeah. There's going to be a fight. It's going to break out. And that's the chance that you take by what you say. Mm-hmm. There's always a consequence that goes with it. Women kind of don't have that the same way. You know, they talk and they don't really get into the altercations quite as often as the men. But it's the one thing that keeps men kind of in check is that, hey, you go ahead and say it. Someone might put you in your place because of it. And it's okay that you're a fighter. You know, fighting is fighting, but there's a big difference between fighting in the cage and fighting when you're not in the cage. You ain't getting paid. Yeah. Not real smart.
Yep. Could have charges pressed against you. All these things.
Yep. Well, look at Colby Covington with Masvidal. Yeah. Look at what happens.
Yeah. Well, like this all stems, I think some of it stems from just the performance with Sean and with Drickus. Ian wasn't impressed with that. But then you also brought up the media and how the media is going to ask questions. Sean apparently, I think, can you pull up a picture of Sean at the media press conference, Dave? Sean apparently had a t-shirt on. I can't remember what it said. And when he,
something about
women should bring in the kitchen
and guns in your hand.
I want to remind you, there's a pretty popular female podcaster. Can't remember her name. She actually makes these shirts that say women should be in the kitchen
or something like that.
What's her name?
Oh, Pearly Things.
Okay, there you go. So what is she?
She says women shouldn't vote.
Women shouldn't vote. Is there one also too that says women should be in the kitchen? Anyway, so women
shares a sentiment.
Okay, so but when I was going back to this media thing, so it's not as if like it's a thing that just men are saying. There are women out there that believe that women shouldn't vote, I guess, or should be in the kitchen, whatever it is. I don't understand the logic on this, but what I am going to go ahead and say is the media. If it is media,
I'll explain the logic once you're done.
Okay, when the press is there, the media is there, and you're asking questions during fight week. Why are you asking stuff about his shirt? It has nothing to do with the fight. He wore it that day. You're doing it. Wait, he's doing it. Sean's doing it for attention. Yes, people to talk about it and whatever it is. But if you're the media, if you're the true MMA media, ask questions about the fight, because you asking questions like this for a response from Sean, you're doing it for clickbait.
You're baiting.
That's it. Any other reason not to ask about his opponent, not to ask about the promotion, not to ask about the fight itself, or to ask about what's next, that is you trying to get clickbait material for your own purpose and your own platform and your own website, whatever it is. That has nothing to do. If you are a true MMA media person, you should have been asking about the fight. Asking any other way, any other questions otherwise, is you're trying to get clickbait material.